All right. Welcome to Audio Star Productions discussion group. And I've got Bob Jetter here and Weston Simonis talking about songwriting topics. And today we got the hook intro. So, Bob, what do you do for your hook intros?
Well, like I said, you've only got a couple of seconds to grab somebody's attention musically. So whatever the hook is, whatever the groove is, make it really neat and snappy and make it so it stands out. So right from the go, because with all the competition, you got to grab attention.
Right. And when you're making your hook, do you try to make it simpler, as in like the nice groove, simple, or because I know some people try to make things too busy sometimes, and that hook melody kind of just gone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on Kiss. I mean, I do like a lot of rock and roll kind of stuff, straight up rock and roll. So, I mean, if I had my guitar, I'll show you. I mean, but it's just, something that's not too complicated at the beginning, Later in the song, then you can get sophisticated. But I wouldn't make it too complicated or too long an intro at the beginning. Of course, it really depends on what kind of music you're doing. But for pop, rock, the kind of stuff we're doing, you want to keep it fairly simple, but catchy.
Catchy and simple.
Yeah.
I second that, because I've seen it where someone gets way too complicated, and then you like just in that.
Yeah, you don't want to show off. Oh, look, all the stuff I can do on my guitar. I'm really good, right? So all that fancy stuff is fine when you do your solo or whatever. But at the beginning, you just want to hit them real quick and make it simple.
Right. Now, if I was saying, if you're going to do solo work at the beginning, you would just want to have that solo guitar by itself, simple that way, versus the whole band.
Or you could have, depends on what instrument it is. That's gonna be the guitar. Like I got a song out there I think is pretty cool, and it hits hard right away with a harp player, like a blues harp player, and it's bam, you right into that blues harp. Of course, I'm sort of old school too, so I mean, we're not talking about EDM and that kind of stuff, but I'm sure an EDM artist has his own tricks of the trade that he'll do the same thing on his keyboard or electronic loop or whatever.
Right. Now, as you progress into your next piece from your hook into your verse, now, do you like to tell the story from the beginning, and with lyrically? Do you tell your story right in the hook kind of thing, or do you like to do more of an instrumental kind of hook?
Well, I mean, the intros are usually pretty short. I mean, I have some songs with long intros, but most of the time the intros are pretty short. And then the first verse, the same way you want to catch attention on the intro, you want to catch attention on the lyrics too.
Right.
So your first lyric is very important as well.
Right.
So you might have whatever the story is, or whatever you're doing with it, if it's just poetry or whatever, you want to make that first lyric really stand out.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely agree on that, because I mean, you're grabbing that attention. You got to have those really cue grabbing lyrics, catchy. The story. It's got to tell some kind of story to grab at that story. Now, when you go into after you've gone from your verse, do you like to put in a pre-chorus before your chorus?
It depends on the song.
Yeah.
Some songs I have a pre-chorus. Some songs I don't. Some songs I hardly have a chorus. It really depends. It's a loop kind of thing. I mean, a lot of the modern music, pop songs, are just loops basically. You know what I mean? So It might be just it might be the same 3 or 4 chords. And people look at it and they say, man, it really sounds really great. But if they look at the chord structure, it's very simple and basic. You have 3 or 4 chords that are looping. So you do a chorus with the same chords. Maybe it's a little adjustment with the chords, but you do a different melody, or you do something else instrumentally that will make it stick out on the chorus in some cases. but it really depends on the song, you know. There are a lot of ways you can do it. There is a structure for arranging pop songs. I got a few good books. Maybe next time I'll share some of that information about, you know, what really works as far as arrangement goes on songs. Especially, I mean, you can look at like country music songs, for example. They usually always have that same formula, like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, or whatever, you know, something like that. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways you can go, but still you got to you have to keep certain things in mind all the time if you want to make it, a song that people will listen to.
Right. Yeah. And I find that, like, if you make it too loopy sometimes, then people lose interest quick because the fact that it's too.
Yeah. You have to make it interesting. If you make it too loopy, then it's going to be boring. Right.
Right.
So, but there's a trick, and it's not always obvious how, if you're doing those kind of loop things, and I don't always do that kind of stuff. Usually I do that sometimes when I work with I did a song recently with a keyboardist, electronic player in Europe, and he just sent me a loop basically of his electronic piano, but he has some interesting stuff in that piano, and he has some interesting interludes in that loop that I use basically as a chorus, you know? So, I'm losing my train of thought, but there are various ways you can go with that. Right.
And I've seen mistakes that some artists will do is when talking about looping too long, they won't change the chord progression enough. They might stay on one chord too long. So they're sitting here doing G, 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 C.
Right.
G, 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 C, which is really repetitive. And
yeah, I mean, even if I do my loop, it's you know, it's like a couple bars on a G, a couple bars on a C, a couple bars on a D, so it's always moving. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now rap has changed the whole scene because rap is basically monotone. You know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it depends on the song, and they'll bring in melodies at certain places or certain samples, but generally speaking, rap a lot of times is not really a musical melody. It's rapping.
It's all lyric.
Yeah. You say it's poetry, and I like some of it, and I understand where it comes from, because that's another issue where I think rap captured that, and why rap is so powerful, especially among the black audience, is that the lyrics are powerful. They deal with real life situations, and even though sometimes I think they get too real.
Just in the black audience, because rap is so widespread now, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm seeing artists from all different races these days too. I mean, but it did start out with black culture, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about the roots. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, a lot of white cats are into it, and like, what was that rap group out of Brooklyn? I forget the name of the group now. You Got the Right Party or something like that. Anyway, there's a lot of white guys doing rap and do it well. You know, Eminem, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still popular or not, but.
I haven't really kept up with him at all, but
Right.
you know, a lot of the people I've seen are, you know, more. I mean, there's people of all different races. You know, we got Mexican, you know, Spanish people rapping. We got white people. We got Asian.
Yeah, I mean, American music, it goes everywhere. So, you know, you got people in Japan rapping, you know? So it's, you know, everybody follows us for the music, you know, for the culture, basically. That's how the biggest export we have as a country is probably entertainment, you know?
Right. And
so
the hard part about it, though, is like a lot of people around the world and even in the United States think that the way that you know, our entertainment looks is the big money, big this, big that. You got to have this and this and that, and that's not really how it is here, because you know, not a lot of people have a lot of money around here in the United States.
No, they see the glitter.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a few cats on the top that making all the bucks. It's like the guy at Amazon, he's making all the bucks, but a lot of people working for him are making pennies, you know?
Right.
So it's the same thing in the rock business, same thing in the music business.
I
That's
mean,
just
you
the
can
world
be an
we live
artist
in.
like me and have a bunch of followers on Facebook page, and you've created those followers from things that you've done, and have nothing that's like in much return. You know, you could make pennies every month on your music versus someone who's been on top. You know, so back on topic of our songwriting. Thing.
Yeah, we did sort of get off topic, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a little bit. It's all right. So back on our topic of songwriting, sometimes when I will go from like a verse to the chorus, I'll put in like a little bit of like a tail end on the lick to kind of get rid of that monotony of the repetitive looping, which is created from the verse where the person's singing, just to kind of give it that transition.
Oh, I got a phone call.
All right.
I'll just over 1 second. Let me see. Sorry about that.
That's all good.
I do other businesses here too, so.
Oh, I understand.
You want to buy some drugs? I'm just kidding.
So I like to give it maybe like that little lick that's like, you know, like some kind of lead lick or some kind of like different melody. It might even not even be suggested as like a pre-chorus, because it's just a emotion in the musical part, which instrumentally will give it that little bit of grab your audience attention kind of thing, moving from transition to transition. And I feel like sometimes that is very important to have, because some people will just go from like some CGD kind of movement to just bam, here's the chorus, and then it sounds very, you know, still loopy. It just sounds
flat.
Flat, loopy.
Yeah.
Doesn't have much grab, and you know, little things like that I can think can grab your audience's ears, keep them entertained. Now, too much of that can be distracting.
Yeah, no, that's right. You're exactly right. I mean, you need the tension that leads up to the chorus, and you can do it instrumentally or what, but you have to see there has to be some tension there that leads. That's a crescendo, basically, the chorus most of the time. That's where the hook is. You know, that's usually you sing it higher. A lot of cases. So that's the peak of the song.
Yeah,
and that has to stand out.
Punching.
Yeah, more than any other. You have to hit them right at the beginning, and of course, all the lyrics should be well crafted. Not too many cliches. Even though every now and then I'll put in a cliche because it just fits, you know. But that chorus really has to be a crescendo. It really has to be the mountaintop for the song, you know.
Yeah, and we were talking about rap. All rap artists don't have much of a chorus. Some of them do. Some of the newer rap has somewhat of a chorus, especially when you get into some of the more like the rock rap kind of stuff where it has a chorus. But there is some rap that doesn't have chorus. It's just a long told out, you know, lyrical story that they got going on. But if you go and look back at like some of the older rap artists like Sir Mix-a-Lot and Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer, they do have a chorus, you know.
Yeah.
And
they were closer to the melody back at the beginning, you know. And I see it now come back in. The melody is coming more important, at least on certain artists, you know.
Yes, I've seen that coming back in. So now that brings us to another topic of the songwriting at the beginning of that intro is the melody. You got to have that melody that grabs with those people. I mean, you don't have to be like full punch, boom, right down their throat with exactly what you're doing with your singing or your guitar playing or instrumental things, but that melody's just got to really grab that person and that with that right tone.
That's very true. The melody has to come, and that's not always obvious to come up, you know, with a good melody, you know. That's something. It takes some talent I like to think I am a pretty good melody maker, but yeah, melody is so crucial, really crucial. And it's really hard to teach people melody. I don't know how you teach that, you know? Either you have a good sense of melody or you don't.
You know, I found that from learning my scale patterns on my instruments, and then
Right.
you learn the scale and forget about the scale, but you've got to learn the scale to kind of like learn that triad pattern, you know, the
Right.
root, third, fifth.
Right.
And
Yeah, and often I'll come up with new melodies. I've started doing that recently because I'm not really a trained musician on a guitar. I told you I think I trained a little bit on the trumpet, but not on the guitar so much. So, but this recently, I've been starting writing melodies from just doing scale work on the guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just coming up with a couple notes. Man, those two notes go good together, and the one note leads to another note, which makes finally a pretty decent melody. You know?
You know, and I find that sometimes like going from the root note to the second note and then hitting something like the fourth or the fifth from there, and then resolving back to the root note and then hitting another
Right.
one, and then coming back to that beginning of that kind of sometimes will bring a great melody, you know, and sometimes just going from, you know, just going straight down each note. You don't have to do the whole scale of the pattern, but you know, sometimes I hear it where it's just going root, second, third, and then from second, third, it's going to go back to root, and then it'll hit fifth sometimes, you know, something like that.
Right.
And I feel like sometimes when you explore with that, that's where you can really get that, you know, good melody in your playing and skill.
Right. And sometimes it's good too, just to do, you know, sing it out without the instrument, a cappella, you know?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I'll be riding in the car and something another song maybe or something will inspire me. And I'll just turn off the radio and maybe with a recorder on the phone or whatever, just sing a cappella, you know, a melody.
Right.
That comes from me. So sometimes it comes like that too. So there's various ways you can come up with a melody for your tunes.
When you start a song, we were talking about in our last video about sometimes the lyrics come first, sometimes the instrumental part comes first, right?
Yeah. 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 It really depends. And I don't have any set method. Sometimes I have an idea, something's going on in my life or some kind of issue or whatever it might be. I'm thinking about that problem or that issue or that mindset. And then I'll go to the guitar and sometimes it comes together, you know, I'll pick out on the guitar and the lyric I already got down, at least the hook maybe, or a small expression will come together. Okay. Hey, I got business I got to do.
I hear you.
Calls I got coming in.
Too.
We'll pick this up. This is a great conversation. We'll pick this up. All right,
yeah,
man?
We'll be loading this one up on the podcast and on
okay.
the internet and stuff, and then we'll finish it off and we'll finish on outros next time.
Sounds good. Over and out, man.
Peace,
bro.
bro.